Back to casting the race to number 1 on the leaderboards. Turn that score off. This is not like an official show match or anything. This is just a clash between number 1 and number 2. Malians Sanity's Anatan going up against Anahu, aka Beastie Cutie, who have both been going back and forth to try and lock in that number 1 spot on the leaderboard for the end of Season 8. Mongols versus Japanese, a good one for Beastie, though, I gotta say. I think Mongols, one of the hardest civs for Japan to deal with. The early outpost rushes can ruin you on the gold. The Kura storehouse just doesn't feel viable because your farms are just going to feed bounty over to your opponent for free. A more defensive map maybe gives some hope to Japan, but we've seen Mongols are very good at getting in and doing damage, even on maps like this, where it shouldn't be easy to get in, where these choke points should be a no-no for that type of pressure. So I have to see if he opens up with a standard way. Like, looking at right now, wood gathering as is with 3 people on it, I think this, yeah, it is going to be the Rax play. So we are going to get a blocker, and it makes a lot of sense because BC ran straight across the map and spotted the forward spawning gold. This is huge. Get an outpost up here, and yellow is going to be smiling all game long. Anatan, on the other hand, I have seen some players pivoting away from Kura Storehouse into Coca. Not just in this matchup, but in general. In this matchup, I feel that you kind of have to, but in general, it has become a lot more comfortable, right? Like, the idea of Coca in Feudal Age with a buff to Shinobi, they're a surprisingly effective unit in the right composition. But here, I feel like they're almost a necessity. So we'll hit the 2,000 speed so we can get towards the play. Villager is already being pulled super early here. Makes a lot of sense because Anatan is rushing into Feudal. He's not looking to set up an outpost ahead of time. I think this is fine as long as it is the Kura. If it's not a Kura, instead say he's going for the... Oh, sorry, it's Coco, rather. If he's going for the Kura, why did they decide on 2 landmarks being McKay? If he decides to go for the Kura, I think he's in trouble. So, good choice by Anatan. Coca now on the way. This is going to give him a blocker to the initial Spearman play. The problem is the timing here. Because it's only 2 villages, now switching to 6, the outpost will be up before the Shinobi is out. And that's the problem, because it means there should be double Spearmen garrisoned in the outpost before the Shinobi arrives. And back gold options aren't an option here, folks. Like, I mean, they literally just don't exist. If you look at the map, you can see all of the gold is forward spawning, and it's brutal for Anatan in particular, because BC at least got these more retracted golds, whereas I'd say Anatan's got shoved further forward due to the tree lines over here that don't exist down here for Beastie. Yeah, this is going to be hard. I mean, Anatan, he did at least get 158 gold, so he could think about going multiple Shinobi to burn down. He could also maybe think about going for Siege Engineering here for 125. I haven't tested that. Can Shinobi build rams? Because I never looked. Because if you can't build a ram, it's going to be kind of weird here, right? Like, you need to go for a Rax or an archery range instead. Yeah, it's like, it's never come up before, right? You'd think it would because you have Shinobi on, like, C maps. You think you want to make a ram, but most of them just torch. We're going to find out in a second, though, because the UI will tell the truth of it. I'm assuming they can, because they also benefit from things like Bannerman auras. So we'll find out in 3, 2, 1. They can. There you go. So they can build rams. Instead, though, he's just going to go in for the Shunshin. Sabotage is going to come in. Nicely done, actually. He identified the fact that Beastie's being greedy, trying to burn down. Had Beastie had all 5 spears garrisoned inside, you can't make that play. So decent damage is going to be done. Remember, it adds in a lot of burn here. Sabotage is going to be ready to go again, and that should actually put it on fire for real, folks. Which means you will eventually lose this outpost. Villager comes back from Beastie, though. Oh, no! This one little man may ruin the entire plan for Anatan. It's actually that bad, right? Because now when you dive in, these sabotages, you know, the cooldowns and whatnot, you can't stack them. A second outpost also being prepped here is kind of ambitious, but makes sense when you consider the tree lines here. Shinobi, let's go Shinshin in. Nice cancel there. Wait. Was someone checking the wood? Did he lose the wood? I don't think he lost the wood. But Sabotage went on cooldown, which is very weird. Now, keep in mind, this isn't the end of the world for Anatan, because either Beastie has to creep even closer like here, or he needs to go around the other side. And with 4 Shinobi here, that's not going to be viable. And we have to remember, because BC done so much here, it came at a cost. Deerstone is only now completing, and your opponent is already prepping horsemen from double stables to go with the Shinobi, and he is going straight towards BC's base. Cool read overall. I actually like the way he's approaching this. Archery range is also now going to get dropped. Wait, archery range against horsemen? Oh, this is tough. Shinobi now diving in. Nice stab on the villager. Immediately forces the cancel. Is going to turn around with the torch. Sabotage is going to come through as well. Shinobi have to stick to this, though, so it's going to be expensive. But he should be able to get through the defense. Surely. Maybe not. This is actually disastrous. Even if he gets the outpost now, losing 4 Shinobi, 100 resources a pop, makes it not worth it. Final one just about gets away. The Khan, 0 HP! He couldn't get the kill. Oh, that's the passive regen for you folks. He was at 3.2 health when that free damage shot came in. So Shinobi dodges death. Outpost is definitely going to be going down now, courtesy of it being too low and on fire. Another villager in trouble, though. What? Oh, Beastie, no. This was so insanely greedy. He really wanted to keep that outpost alive because he's worried about Anatan going fast castle now. Funnily enough, Anatan has no intent of going fast castle. He's going mass horseman age 2. Magadai, this is kind of weird. The issue of Magadai is that they are quite slow compared to horsemen. Yam can be helpful, but only when you're in your own base. What a weird build. Spearman at least coming home for the pincher. Scout going down could be really big here if he can get the stab. The Khan should be able to chase this down now. Remember, Khan has really weird movement when he's chasing like this, where he kind of slows down when he's close by and speeds up as he gets towards the full range that he has. But will still be enough. So Scout is going to be taken out. That means Anatan is now playing blind. Not a comfortable position to find yourself in here. He can actually just build another one out of the stables, right? But like, I'm wondering, how much longer do you want to play this age? Also, if you're going to play this age, like, would it feel better to go to Shinobi first to wipe the spears? The problem you have here is, like, horsemen will beat Magadai if they can reach them. That's a big if. Wait, is that? He's trading. Yep, BC setting up. I'm a much bigger fan of these type of approaches. Like, going Deerstone first into Marketplace just kind of makes a lot more sense to me. It gives you the versatility, it gives you the pressure early on, and if you feel like trade is too greedy, you then don't have to do it. The reason the Silver Tree was so good for a long time, a big part of it anyway, wasn't just the broken trade system, it was the fact that your opponent had to react as if you were trading. So that forced a level of pressure, but I think players have gotten much better at tempering that. They don't all in as much, they do just enough, and they're very good at scouting now compared to like even a year ago. So I think Deerstone just plays a lot better. Yeah, it's like there used to be a really cool build for Silver Tree back when the trade was busted. Do you remember when you used to do the short trade route? The busted build was that you would double produce traders and then produce no more. And the logic there is it got you enough gold to get to Castle Age, but then it also baited a reaction. Ever since the rework to trade, now that it works half each way, I don't see merit in that play. And I think Deerstone, especially with the recent buffs, with things like the Khan Hunter, is just too good to pass up. In fact, we're starting to see that. Dive-in attempt. Ooh, a little bit of a misplay there. Outpost a bit too close for Beastie. Dude, I can't believe he's still going for this. This is tricky with the dive, though. Outpost is doing a lot of work in this situation. However, it is costing Anatan dearly. Remember, that's the villagers being garrisoned. He might need to come back and dive this soon. Instead, though, the horsemen go in on the villagers! BC slow on the reaction here, being targeted down. The spearmen unable to defend. So good strike in there. What's that? 4 villager kills. I think he needs to Shunshin in. If he can get this villager kill, it's huge. Instead, he goes for the sabotage. Wait, what? Okay, I think that was not worth it. If Anatan Shinshined in, I believe he could have got the 2-hit kill. In fact, yeah, it's kind of unfortunate he never got Tatara, because had he done so, that would have been a 1-hit kill. The outpost is definitely going to go up. Villager could also repair afterwards. You can see the hesitance for Anatan, but if he doesn't get rid of this villager, this outpost is never going down. So Anatan looks like he's just kind of letting it be. A lot of food, so he's starting to pump more horsemen, but he's prepping for Castle Age here. Other side of this, Beastie is all in on the feudal. Army is going to reform back at base. Horsemen now looking to ride in here. The problem is the Yam is now there for the Mangudai to kite better. Attack speed arrow is going to be activated. Shinobi are going to go in to deal with the Spearmen. Horsemen should be able to get access here. Good job with the Khan, though. I love that from Beastie. He's already used all of his worth with the attack speed arrow. You don't need him anymore. Use him to buy more time for the Mangudai. Now he's going to have to kite away. Horsemen, of course, do have the undermesh. So Mangudai only doing 3 damage per strike. Should be able to target fire down the injured. However, overall, a reasonable trade for Anatan, considering you don't want to be in the Horseman anymore. This, on the other hand, is kind of unhinged. Temple of Quality coming through. Man, people really are trying to convert their ways. So Temple of Quality, why? I think it's an interesting play on a map like Hill and Dale because of limited gold access. So you're playing against a very aggressive opponent. You're playing against a Mongol player who's probably going to keep sending it into your base. If you went for the Yoroshiros, you might be able to drop off in these forges and get a little bit extra. But long-term Zen can kind of allow you to last here, right? And because your opponent is playing Mass Mangudai and staying H2, you're not going to be able to sneak out and just secure this gold, right? That's where Japan's a bit different from other civs, where you can't just rush onto the stone, drop a keep in the center, and say, I've got 8k gold now, late game is mine. So I think that's part of the thought process with these. It's also pretty intriguing up against the Mangudai in particular, because the debuff will make it so that the Mangudai do 1 damage against horsemen. If Monk cost the food instead of gold, I mean, guys, it only costs 80 gold. I think people slept on this detail. Like, in our minds, when we talk about how bad Buddhist monks are, we're usually thinking 150 gold. It's an 80 gold unit. It's like getting into Zen. It means that just over a little bit, tiny bit over 3 minutes in, Buddhist monk pays itself back. And still has value in the meantime, right? You can heal with him, you can debuff with him. And in fairness, like, I think Anatan, if he'd gone for a typical Yoroshiro drop, and it would have been Mountain Samurai, Mangudai would kite you, Spearman would react quickly with Deerstone, and you still have pressure coming in, because like this outpost position, right, would be impenetrable. It's like, it does feel like Anatan has played this from a strategic standpoint of, I will not have gold. He's been so fixated on hitting my gold vein, I am not going to get it. And you could go for a forged Yoroshiro drop, but you're waiting like 2 minutes for each Yoroshiro to come out. And the first one really needs to go into a production building, right? So I think the other thing to consider is like this kind of cross-exchange issue of having to go for this to get gold and whatnot. In some ways, the other problem you now have is because you went Coca, you don't have the food to spam into things like Mounted Samurai, which is why he's going Yumi, right? Like this is, I think this is a move you make when you don't have gold access and you don't have food access. He has at least got the berries in the backside for a little bit later, but like he hasn't got a farm transition, right? This is what makes Kura Storehouse so nice, is you very organically complete a farm transition because you get 12 of them for free. Well, to the point that's being brought up in chat about the Shaolin monks targeting the same unit together, I actually don't think that should be fixed. And here's the problem. If that gets fixed, immediately with that one change, Shaolin monks become one of the most broken units in the game. That's the problem you have. It's an 80 cost unit, and if they're efficiently debuffing an enemy army, like you get 20 seconds into a fight, the whole enemy army is going to be debuffed. It's insanely powerful when you think about it that way. And it lasts 60 seconds, right? It's like, I think you'd have to drastically rework it for that to make sense. I almost want to say you'd have to like make the Buddhists have a stacking debuff where each cast does like 15% up to a maximum of 45 or 60% or something like that. Oh, Yumi. Smart counter actually to the Mangudai guys. Better movement speed, and also you are able to zerg them quite effectively here. And the arms are being prepped though, and I think Anatan needs to resecure this gold soon. The longer he's stuck on Yumi, the worse it gets. Yes, you could switch Onimusha, but once again, something that requires a lot of gold. Gold that Anatan currently doesn't have a huge income of. He did go straight into the Zen, so he's at least getting his hands on 75 gold per minute. Then you add in the one relic, another 80, number one on the way home, but it's slow, man. Like, if you now have to drastically switch into Onimusha, remember those are not cheap. So instead, it's going to be a force drop in the center of the map. So he needs to start getting his hands on either Onimusha or going into something like Mount Samurai. The raid comes in, the Mangudai! Waited for that the entire time. Beastie peels a few villager kills. He's going to find even more. A quick in and out as well. It's like maybe one Mangudai going down in exchange for, what was that, 4 or 5 villagers. Perfectly timed raid there by the Mongol player. And he's found more. The one Mangudai on the flank. Oh no. Outpost going up. The Mangudai, if he just kites this, it'll be extra kills. Can't afford to get touched. This is the thing. You can't touch him at all. He switches over to the Buddhist monk, so the outpost is going to go up. Buddhist monk is definitely going to be going down here. And he will notice through the re-rally that the wall is complete. But remember, this Mangudai can still go back to kill more. Right? Like, he can still walk back over to the villages and start poking at this. Was a Kurotai play. Now, this is always a bit awkward. Playing Kurotai with mass cavalry never feels comfortable because you always feel like the fight's over before you arrive. But if he feels like he can just reach the edge of the base and sit there, that's where Kurotai can still be really impactful here. You just use it as kind of a chivalry-esque ability where you just run in, heal, run out. Beastie, how many trays are we up to now? 9? No, 12. Okay, so very good economy starting to layer in for him. That's why you're seeing the 12 villager lead there. And the problem now is, like, Anatan's finally going for Mount Samurai, but it's so late that these guys aren't going to be able to contest the Keshiks. Instead, Anno is setting up a TC, and that's because he needs some sort of frontal defense here, right? Like, it's a long way away from having a Shogunate, though, is a problem. Kurotai starting to move in. Mangudai once again diving to the backside of this. Defense arrow has to be activated. The Keshiks now coming in from the west. Bit of a sandwich maneuver here. Into the choke points he goes. Keshiks will better ride through. Very tanky against this. Even the Yumi Bannermoon effect just doesn't feel like it's good enough here. And the arms also starting to arrive. The Keshik with the double armor layering. Plus the sustained heal will be enough to break through. The Sohai Sutra just non-existent in this battle. The villagers unable to complete the TC. This should be it. Anatan is over 20 eco behind. No way of securing gold. And as a Japanese player, there is no bigger nightmare. Historically accurate. I feel like we're playing a particular Sony title at this point. However, I do not see a ghost from Tsushima to save the day for the Japanese Empire on this one. Anatan is going to have to bend the knee to Beastie. Samurai is starting to arrive, but, you know, even with this TC now going up, it's the pressure point that's now going to follow up, right? We're talking about a 25 eco lead. Plenty of gold to work with, which means mass Keshik. In a game where you don't have these Yorishiro drops, you don't have this good economy on farms, let alone the gold, to reliably pump mass mount Samurai. Now with this Kurotai, I mean, even just diving this area. The Yam Crawl is really smart. It's going to give him the gap close he needs with his infantry comp. Onimusha are being prepped. If Anatan micros like a god, there is a way, but it's not easy here, folks. Kaburia plus mass Onimusha, it could be the saving grace. We've got a lot of Buddhist monks being prepped, so not a bad idea against the Keshiks. What's Beastie doing, though? I feel like this is a bit slow on his ramp up, which is surprising for a guy who has 1,700 gold. He's prepping the eco-techs. Probably more production is going to be on the way, because I think that's his weakness right now, is it's almost like there could be more coming than there is. Anatan now creeping on that trade. Could he actually claw his way back into this? I mean, the problem is it's double marketplace non-stop pumping. Kurtai is posturing very aggressively here. Deerstone as well. So traders are going to start to get targeted down. There should be a few Keshik riding across now. More than a few, so we'll look to sweep through that quickly. Active stone gathering. Anatan understands that he's going to need a lot of emplacements to hold in this area. Whether he can hunker down here will define the outcome of this game. Still never took out that double outpost. Go to clear up the raid. Wallo is going to be a Wallo. Nope. No 5th relic here for Anatan. I think he needs the relics on the forward here, guys. That's so... the buff that you get... Not Sohai Sutra. I forget the name of it. The Buddhist conversion... can we come up with a better name, by the way? The Buddhist conversion will give the 20% damage buff for 20 seconds, which could be a really big deal for the Yuumi, considering how limited their damage penetration already is against Keshiks. It's awkward as well. I find trying to use that Wallo buff on anything but Knights doesn't feel good. The reason is Knights have very high base damage, so a 20% increase in damage is substantial on a mounted samurai, right? You're already at 24, so adding 20% in, and then you add Bannerman 15%, like you're going above 30 damage with your katana attack, easily. Like your katana attack comes as hard-hitting as your lance attack. It's pretty scary. But we don't have mounted samurai in this game. Anatan doesn't have that type of economy. Step Lancers now on the way. You say it's pretty good on Siege? No, because the problem is positioning, right? Like, the idea as well is you want units that can move fast, because if someone sees that, it's kind of like when a Khan activates an arrow, you move away. Right? Like, a perfect example is Khan activates attack speed arrow, move away. Right? 50% attack speed sounds really good when you're able to attack. You know, it's like if you saw a giant spinning blade machine that couldn't move, would you walk into it or away from it? Feels like Anatan needs to be that giant spinning blade, because he's going to have to attack from both sides here. Defend from both sides, actually. Rams setting up on the west side for the Mongols. Yellow also holding the Keshiks in reserve on the south. Mango's being prepped by Anatan, but they are not here, folks. Keshiks right in. Outpost, first thing that needs to be addressed here. Mount Samurai are trying to body block that, but they're going to have to give their lives to do so. The crossbow snipe them down. Yuumi trying to hit that back line, but the Keshiks are going to be allowed in now with the men-at-arms. Crossbows targeting the backstab comes through the Keshiks, and you should be able to find the Mango also here. So High Sutra's just not going to be there. The Buddhist monks don't have the heal toggled off, so they're not debuffing. They're focused on healing only, and there's not enough healing you can do here. Anatan will not be able to get another plus 25, negative 25 outcome. It's going to be Beastie pulling ahead and taking that #1 spot on the leaderboards.